Morning, everybody.
Morning.
First of all, I want to thank Pastor Victor for pushing me up to here today. And the thought of writing a sermon is not something most teenagers think about. And plus, I have like different essays and all other things. So I really wasn't sure how to approach how to write a sermon. I've done public speaking before in school presentations, but of course this is like uncharted territory. I hope I at least did a decent enough job. I know I can only learn from this experience, and I continue my growth in Christ. I know my journey is far from over, and I'm excited for the future and what it has in store. So when I got my email from Pastor Victor, there was like plenty of different stuff, like how to do sermons, like textual, expository, topical, devotional, oracle, and honestly, I'm not sure what I wrote. So I hope it falls into one of these different categories that he gave me, or maybe I made a new category myself. So I'm 18, I'm a boy, and as typical as that sounds, I do want freedom. I want to do my own thing. As I get ready for college, I know my life will be different, and I'll become exposed to different things, positive and negative. But all this aside, I know my boundaries. I have a mother that appreciates me for teaching me respect and how to be cordial. As the time comes closer for me to start making decisions that will shape my adult life, I'm assured by the grace of God and my parents that things will turn out okay for me. Standing here before you today, I'm aware that I'm still very young and I have my whole life ahead of me. I want to thank this congregation and the people in it. You all continue to teach me so much about life, influence me directly, indirectly. As I see people my age, I'm cognitive enough to see the things they lack in their lives in order to be better people. Whether it be a strong relationship with God, a congregation and good people to guide them, or loving and involved parents. I do pray for them when I can, and I believe that God does have a plan for them. As I take a class in sociology, I have learned about the concept of the agents of socialization. Like there's different things like parents, school, and just life in general that teaches you how to become more socially aware of your surroundings. And family is the first step in the child's education and how they are able to assimilate into society. To take away this disrupts learning at a young age, and it makes it extremely difficult to recover from it. So I'm just happy and I'm lucky to have a great home and a great family, and I know that's the biggest stepping stone any person can ever have. I admit at times that I grow extremely frustrated and I point fingers at other people my age, like, why can't I do this and why can't I have that? And I'm aware of this. Like, for instance, I'm 18, I want a car. I want a car. I don't have one yet, and I'm being patient, and I know one day I will have a car, and I know my parents are just taking it step by step, maybe tiptoe by tiptoe, but who knows? Despite all of this, I know they're only looking out for me and they're doing their best to make sure I don't fall into the wrong path. So a mother's love knows no bounds, and my mother is a perfect example of this. She could come up here herself and give her own testimony about God's grace in her life. Maybe I'm setting her up for her own sermon myself. Who knows? But yeah, God blessed me with two wonderful parents who continue to only wish the absolute best for me. The fact that they came to this country was for the interest of me and my siblings in the back. They wanted to give us the opportunity, and all I can do now is do the best I can and use the opportunity they gave me. So as it is Mother's Day, I decided to take a look back at some strong women in the Bible. I thought to myself, they didn't have to be a mother at all. Some women play the role of mother without even being Mother's Day should be every day, and that is ideally just. Mothers never get enough credit where it's due, and I'm just as guilty as not giving the credit as the next person. I cannot imagine what it feels like to lose a mother, and I do not feel ever so comfortable about that topic at all. I feel for the people here today that do not have their mothers in their lives no longer, and I hope you find peace, and I know it is an unimaginable thing to go through. I believe that I'm a product of a woman with a strong faith in God, and I'm extremely thankful for that. I see my mother, and even as a Sunday school teacher, and all the different anecdotes and stories that she tells me in my life, I always try to take it in, and I'm just so thankful that she endows me with love and just pushes me to go to church every morning, even though I want to sleep in and watch my favorite soccer team play. I know I have to go to church sometimes, all the time. So, yeah. So mothers are teachers, mothers are disciplinaries. Some mothers are gardeners and mow lawns, others are incredible cooks. Anyone can atone to that. Mothers are nurses, they're doctors, they're psychologists, they're counselors, they're chauffeurs, coaches. Mothers are developers of personalities, molders of vocabulary, shape of attitudes. Mother are soft voices saying I love you, and mothers are linked to God, a child's impression of God's love. Either aunts, teachers, nurses, a mother's role is not only found nor restricted in the biological sense. After all, it does take a village to raise one child. I didn't feel like doing one person because then it would have felt like I was on a research paper and I already get enough of those as it is. So I decided to do multiple women that feel embody what it is to be a motherly figure in the Bible. I chose the first one to be Esther. Is one good example of faith and also courage. She was the queen to the king of Ahasuerus because the king loved Esther more than any other woman. When her nation Israel was in jeopardy of being wiped out, Mordecai told Esther, "Do not think to yourself that in the king's palace you will escape any more of all the other Jews. For if you keep silent at this time, relief and deliverance will rise for the Jews from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this." After the entire nation fasted, Esther said, "I will go to the king, though it is against the law, I will perish. And if I perish, I will." Queen Esther risked her life, and she went to the king, because if she did not put out the scepter, then she would have surely died. But we know that by Esther's bravery, the Jews were saved. Women sacrifice a lot, 9 months of labor to name 1 out of a million. As I learned, mothers are chosen to endure this pain, and I bear the miracle of life and to create us, the ones who are in God's image. My sociology teacher, Mr. Lake, believes being a mother is the most difficult and underrated job in the world. I believe what he says is true. Now, I just imagine how much other things they have to do on top of that, like having their own jobs themselves, or multiple children, or just an infinite amount of things they have to worry about. And I also chose Elizabeth. Her name means God promised, and the woman must have been highly respected for one thing. She was the wife of Zechariah, a member of the priesthood at Jerusalem. Elizabeth was related to Mary, the mother of Jesus. Jesus said of John, "Among those born woman has risen no one greater than John the Baptist." We can summarize that Zechariah and Elizabeth taught John the Baptist from an early age that the ways of God from the Old Testament. She was barren before conceiving John, like many other famous women of the Bible who were in similar situations, without God's intervention, may have remained childless. In the beginning of Luke's Gospel, we see that Elizabeth was descended from a long line of Jewish priests. When an angel of the Lord told Zechariah that his wife would conceive, he did not believe it and thus struck dumb. But Elizabeth had no trouble believing. This seems to indicate that her trust in the Lord was greater than that of even her husband Zechariah. Sometimes we need miracles, sometimes we need a push. And we know God's grace, and we know that He always delivers miracles Himself. The last woman I chose was Mary Magdalene. She was a promised disciple and follower of Christ, even up to His death on the cross. Even after Christ had died, she still wanted to attend him in his grave. She was among a small, close group of women who were Christ's devoted followers and was the first witness to his resurrection. Women were not even allowed to be witnesses in the Jewish culture, and even in the Romans had little regard for women. But Jesus elevated women's status to its rightful status as being co-equals, co-heirs to men during his ministry. Mary Magdalene was more faithful during Christ's time on earth, during his trial, during his crucifixion, and even afterwards, than even disciples were. Mary was a constant follower of Christ, prepared his body for even his death, and did not abandon him in his crucifixion, and as we wrote, one of those witnesses of his resurrection. In the beginning, Mary appeared more devoted to believing than even Jesus' disciples, who had scattered and had thought after Christ's death that all was lost. And I just like, every time I think of Mary Magdalene, I think of my mother, because she just has a very, very strong faith in God. And even in her darkest times, she's always believed in God, and it's always guided her back to the light. And all of these women displayed sacrifice, hope, and faith, respectively. I think these are some of the things that you need to be a mother or a motherly figure. Because I don't know, you just don't have to be biological to be a mother. More than anyone else, parents have the greatest influence on a child, and I feel my parents have influenced me in the most positive manner they were humanly capable of. I believe a motherly figure is important for anyone. Even like in movies such as like Disney movies and superheroes, we see them like lose their mothers because it's such a very, very, very tragic, and it's something that no one wants to ever imagine, and I don't ever want to imagine that myself. To me, my mother embodies and encompasses Esther, Elizabeth, Mary Magdalene, all in one. And I'm sure you felt that your own mother or aunt, teacher, or learning lesson in a maternal role would as well. I want to say thank you to everyone for having me today. And yeah, that was my sermon.